Hi there.
Hello.
And welcome to the Bookish and Bored Podcast. My name is Landry. I run a cute little bookish account on Instagram. You can find me at Landry Reads.
I'm Avery, artist, author, and a bookworm. You can find me at Avery44S art on Instagram.
I'm Maddie, a proud follower of both these accounts.
And on today's episode, our very first, we are going to be talking about our top 5 favorite reads of all time.
What better way to get to know us than to know what we love?
And without further ado, let's get right into it.
Okay, so I'll go first, and coming in at number 5, I have The Night Shift by Annie Crown. This is a book that I read towards the end of last year, and let me just say how quickly it became my favorite total comfort read, and Vincent Knight, shout out to him, book boyfriend, number 3. It's adorable, it's sweet, you love it, it's great, perfect.
Okay, before I start my number 5, can I just give a quick honorable mention to Percy Jackson and Throne of Glass, because Percy Jackson's just my childhood, and like it's gotta be on here somewhere. And then Throne of Glass is just mwah. I want to say I'm an avid reader of classics, but I've read like 10 or so I don't know if that counts. But one of them is on my top 5. It's The Count of Monte Cristo. It's just such a fun read. It's a little thick, but it's amazing. I love it. I'm a sucker for the cloth-bound Penguin classics, and this was one of the first ones I got because it matched my other books. And, I fell in love with it, and yeah.
All right. My number 5 is The Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom duology. It's one of my first reads that was after Inheritance Games, and it was one of my first, actual big reads that I actually did, and I read really quickly. And it was just such great world building, and it was such a great, plot and storyline. It starts off slow, but once you got a few chapters in, I was hooked. I couldn't put the book down. To read this book, I ended up borrowing it from Landry, and it was so good that when I get the chance to buy it, I will buy it just so I can have it up on my shelves. And I have one question that was left unanswered. Where did the tank come from? I don't know, but if you have any ideas, please reach out because I would really like to know. I love all the characters because, I became so attached to some of them. And then I love all the friendships and relationships between all of them. You got to see them develop throughout the whole story, and it was just really cool to see that. But overall, it was a really great read. I would definitely recommend it.
And jumping into my number 4, I'm going to build off of what Maddie was saying because mine was the Six of Crows Crooked Kingdom duology. And let me just start with, there is not a single character in these books that I did not fall in love with or I did not absolutely love. They were all spectacular, and I just appreciated everything that they all contributed so much. I will say special shout out to Inez. She was definitely my favorite, my role model. I would like to be her when I grow up, let me tell you. And I really loved the first chapter starting with our Wraith, Miss Inez, and I think that was the moment that I knew that I was going to like this book, is just seeing what a badass she was. I loved it so much. Also, Kinej, the romance isn't very romance heavy, and it's rare that you will see a book, especially one like this that I enjoyed so much, not have a lot of romance in it. But when I tell you the romance, that it didn't need because just the emotion was there, it was enough. And that, I think, is part of what just put so much of this in its top 5 for me. Chapter PSAs. Chapter 40, Lee Bardugo, how dare you? How dare you? But chapter 45, if I was not already in love with Inej, that was it for me, guys. That's it. I love her so much. How could you not? How could you not?
And this is Crooked Kingdom, right?
Yes, this is of Crooked Kingdom.
My number 4 is Prisoner, and let me tell you, it's such an incredible book. It has amazing world building, and it's a really interesting concept that I fell in love with pretty quickly. It goes a bit slow, kind of like Six of Crows, but then it gets to the point, and then ever since that point, it's just go, 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 action. And let me tell you, the plot twists and the cliffhangers are crazy. Had me at the edge of my seat. I think I finished the whole trilogy in less than a week. It's just such an insane book, so it's got to make my top 5.
All right, my number 4 is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Yes, I have only read the first book, but the next 2 books I am going to read after when I get the chance to. I was gifted this book by Landry for my birthday, and I absolutely loved it. this book and Inheritance Games was like the reason I started reading again. And then the plot was amazing, the storyline and like how the story played out, the mysteries and everything in that was just so good. And there were so many moments where they were just so unexpected, but like a good kind of unexpected. And the mystery crime solving in this book, amazing. I'm so excited to read the next few books. And then the characters were really easy to connect with and they were likable, and it just made the book overall better. And I'm hoping that when I get the chance to read the rest of the series, it will all just be as good as that first book.
By the way, in case you guys haven't seen this yet, but A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the show, is coming out July of this year.
Watch party.
Watch party.
So we're all gonna have to catch up on that really quickly.
You guys, start reading. Start reading
now. No, I will. I'll put it on hold. Okay, now time for our number 3 on the list. Okay, mine goes to the Shatter Me series, specifically Ignite Me. If you have not heard of Aaron Warner, well, open your phone because you will. And I will say, funny story, when I was kind of getting back into reading, I was talking to Avery a lot, and I was like, what book should I read? Shatter Me was actually on her list, but after reading the description, I was kind of like, I'm not that interested. Well, fast forward a couple weeks later, I had gotten into like Bookstagram, and let me tell you guys, when I saw LYHFML, I started reading. That was my breaking point. That was what convinced me, and since then, Aaron Warner, number 1 book boyfriend, love him so much, and he just made that series for me. I also think that's a big part of why Ignite Me is my favorite, because that's really like Aaron Warner's time to shine. So I understand if you're in Shatter Me and you're like, who's this Adam dude? I get it. That was me. Keep reading. It gets better. It gets so much better, and I love it. If you are a newer reader and you're still kind of trying to get into the whole process, Shatter Me is a series that I would definitely recommend. All of the books are on the shorter side and also very easy to digest. So it's a great way to get yourself hooked. Also, everyone's talking about it. It's got such a great fan base. There's always going to be people that you can discuss it with. So if you're looking for a starting point, that's where I would recommend.
Okay, so now it's time for my number 3, and for this one, I have to go with Renegades by Marissa Myers because it is just such a fun read. I've read it like 3 times now, and I didn't get tired of it, so it's on my top 5. The concept is just so fun and amazing, and the tension, oh my gosh, I love it. And Marissa Myers is just such a wonderful, great author. She writes very well. I normally don't rate books off of the writing and the words, more just the vibes, you know? But her writing's just incredible, so yeah.
Alright, so my number 3 is Inheritance Games. I absolutely love this series, and it's one of my first few books. I don't remember what I read first. It was either this or A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, but I love them both. And these were like really good, and it brought back my love for reading. It's such an easy read with amazing puzzles, riddles, and games in each book. Literally all the 3 books I read in like 4 days, and then I reread them because they were so good. And I just could not get over it. And then ignoring the fact that I still have yet to finish The Brothers Hawthorne, which is book 4, this series is a great book series to start off with if you want to get into reading and you don't know where to start, but it's also a great binge read and comfort book that I can always go to just to reread it. It's just really easy and nice and quick to read.
Okay, and I don't know if this is like an unpopular opinion or a hot take, but personally, I don't think the 4th book was like all that good anyways. I disliked that it wasn't so from Avery's point of view.
I read a couple chapters, and then honestly, I started reading a different book because I got stuck at that couple of chapters, and then I was recommended a different book. So I was like, oh, I'll just get back to this book later. And I just haven't. So I'll get there, but like, it just hasn't like been like something that's like, oh my gosh, I want to read it right now.
Yeah, she lost me on the 3rd book. It's disappointing because I really like the 1st, but.
Really? Okay, so personally, I really like the 3rd book. That's fine. It's just this 4th one, and I think the biggest reason I didn't like it is the point of view switch. But then also, I felt like Jameson's point of view, it wasn't as good as Avery's, but it was bearable. Grayson's, I have to be honest with you, I genuinely I don't care that much about.
See, I think that's where I stopped, because I think I was reading at night and I was trying to find a good place to stop, and when I finished the chapter, it was the Jameson's like section. And then when I finished that chapter, it was Grayson's point of view, and I think I was like, that's enough for tonight. We'll get back
And you
to
just
it.
never picked it up again.
Honestly,
Well,
I just haven't had the I haven't been able to go pick it up again.
I do that a lot as well, but I also just found that whenever I was reading, it wasn't, oh, I'm enjoying this. It was, when will I get to the next Jameson part? Like, that's what I found myself thinking, is like, how much more until I get to the next thing? And especially with the Grandest game coming out, realizing that we not only won't be returning to Avery's point of view, but I think we're losing Jameson and Grayson's as well. I believe we are getting the girl on the phone's point of view, Rohan's point of view, and Gigi's point of view, which isn't something, again, that I'm super happy or excited for. However, Savannah is a major character. I liked her, and I feel like her similarities between her and Grayson, I think that will be interesting to read about. But other than that, I'm not super excited. But you know what I am excited for?
No.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited for that too.
What?
There is a collection of novellas coming out later this year called Games Untold, and one of the stories that we are getting is going to be Nash and Libby's, and I am so excited for that. I love them so much. I also hope/think that we might get some more from Avery's point of view, which is definitely my favorite. So I'm really looking forward to just some more Hawthorne brother shenanigans. Also, hopefully, like I said, sucker for romance. Hopefully just a little bit more of Avery and Jameson. But then Livy and Nash, I'm so excited for, because they're genuinely just one of my like favorite book couples. They are so adorable together. So I'm really excited for that.
I must admit, I am excited for Grandest Game. The concept seems really cool.
I think the concept will be cool for Grandest Game. I just think coming out of the Brothers Hawthorne and how much of a letdown that was for
I think
me.
it will depends on how well she executes that idea and the point of views.
I mean,
like,
don't get me wrong, like I will 100% be purchasing and reading that book. I just don't know what to expect. And I'm excited because, yes, they're going to be like more, puzzles and riddles and games, the things that we fell in love with the original Inheritance games for. I think it's difficult for me, and I've always been someone like spin-offs aren't really my thing. I fell in love with the original book because it was, the original, and that was the way it was done. And when we start to get point of views from other characters, like that just does not interest me as much. And moving on now into our top 2, my second favorite book of all time, or books, I should say, because it is the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros, which includes Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Okay, so a little bit of background here. Bookstagram corrupted me. We're gonna start with that. And I saw it on Bookstagram and everyone was talking about it, and I was like, whatever, not really interested. Saw one of my favorite little booktubers, shout out to Allie Goodwin, reading it. I was like, okay, whatever, like dragons, I guess I'll give this a try. First 10 chapters, okay, it was good, like whatever. Chapter 13, let me just tell you that Avery got a 14-minute video explaining how amazing this book was, and I've been hooked since.
She's not even joking. She had to send it to me in parts because it wouldn't go through as one video.
I had to cut it into parts so I could send it to her, because it starts, there's so much like, not a lot of people recommend it for beginners in fantasy because there's a lot of romance and not as much world building. I personally think there's a lot of world building. I also think that Rebecca Yarros in herself is just such a mastermind. Like, I can already tell the amount of things, because it's supposed to be a 5-book series, the amount of things that we are going to see in the future that have been hinted at on like the second page are going to be absolutely mind-blowing, and I 100% look forward to seeing all of that play out. Iron Flame, I think, is my favorite out of the 2, which, again, unpopular opinion, but what can I say? Sucker for that romance. I do think Iron Flame could have been 2 books, though. I will agree on that. It was a thick girl. I could not.
I think we all liked Iron Flame better.
My last thing is our heroine, Violet Sorrengail. I'm sure we can all agree that we are not fans of the I'm not like other girls trope. That is definitely not something that is enjoyable for me, especially because I just feel like that's so unrealistic anyways. Especially if you're not like other girls, that means a majority of other girls, like the people reading the actual book are. And I also feel like that's just a great way for people to shame girls for liking things that are stereotypically feminine. So all of this to say, Violet isn't a not like other girls heroine, and she is small and she is fragile, and Rebecca Yarros, she has some chronic illness rep in here. Unfortunately, I cannot recall which chronic illness it is, but I know it's there. And I just really appreciated that instead of being like, oh, I'm small and weak and breakable, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna survive? She said, okay, here's what I have to work with. Here's how I'm going to use that to my advantage. Because she is really smart, and that is one of her biggest weapons. And I appreciated that instead of being helpless and playing a victim, she worked with what she had. She did what she could. And that will always be a good inspiration for, I think, anybody looking for some strong characters in the novels they read. Thank you. Also, sorry, shout out to Zayden Rierson because we love him. And also, just a little pointing this out, he never steps in front of Violet like some other characters that you might meet if you choose to read this book, Dane. But he does stand beside her, and he's always offering his support, but not trying to fight her battles for her, rather than just encouraging her to do it herself. So if that does not sell you on their relationship, then I don't know what does, because they're truly really good for each other.
Number 2, we have Mistborn. Let me tell you, this book is totally heart-wrenching. It's got crazy world building, an incredible magic system, and just lovable characters, and such a complex, incredible plot. And I can't say incredible enough. This book is just amazing, and I love it. But that twist, I guess I could call it, at the end, that got me.
So my number 2 is None Shall Sleep and Some Shall Break. If you like mystery and crime, this book was great. And then the characters fit their roles so perfectly. I felt like that I was so connected to them when the book ended. And it was a great idea for the storyline for both books. And I'm so excited for when the paperback of Some Shall Break comes out, so I can actually get the physical copy because I just read the ebook. I'm so excited to get the paper copy, and I couldn't put the book down. Like, when I started reading, I had to keep reading. Every chance I had free time, I was reading this book. When I got Some Shall Break in my library, like on my phone, I dropped every other read and I started reading because I was just so excited. And then the action and the plot, they start really quickly, so it's nice not having to read so much of slow chapters just to get to the action. It was just like right off from the start, it was right into action. I loved these books. Let's just say near the end, I was almost crying for both books.
Oh.
And let's just say, like, it was a lot. I was like kicking, screaming, laughing, like all of it.
Very emotional.
Girl really said screaming, crying, throwing up. I'm sorry.
It was emotional, but like, I mean, obviously internally, because it can't be like that at, 10 o'clock at night. But internally, the emotions were going through it. But I absolutely loved the book, and I definitely recommend.
And I would like to add, I loved the updates I was getting from Maddie while reading Some Shall Break, is texting me, and this is just, when I say I want, like, reading friends, like, this is what I mean. Like, it was great. She was texting, she's like, I'm done! I finished it! I need book 3! So, Ellie Marnie, would love to know when we're gonna get on that.
I don't even know if there's a book 3.
No, there has to be a book 3.
There needs to be a book 3. The way it ended, I think there is a book 3 coming.
Did it end on a cliffhanger?
Kind of, but kind of not. It was just like, it felt unfinished, Like, I felt like it was just unfinished.
I think there's a book 3. Okay, I think I read something about there being a book 3. There needs to be a book 3 so they can finish the some shall, or none shall, some shall, so
Yeah.
all shall.
I was thinking it's like all shall die or something, to be honest. Like, none shall sleep, some shall break. I wanted to say it would be all shall die, but I don't know.
That's a little dark, but honestly, yeah, for sure. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
So this has officially became our title predictions for book number 3.
I need her to have book
Avery,
3.
have you read None Shall Sleep?
I haven't.
She hasn't. Avery,
Get
you need to read
on
it.
I'm
it, girl.
Now.
It's good.
Now.
And last, but certainly not least, coming in number 1 for me, we have Powerless. This is my favorite book of all time. If you are looking for a book rec, if you want a book that describes my personality, if you want anything remotely related to reading, Powerless. I will bring it up at least once in any conversation that I have. And no, I will not be apologizing for that. Starting off with Kai Azer, book boyfriend number 2. I love him. I love him so much. It's wonderful. It's perfect. He's great. The things he says. Oh, like, who cannot love that man? Like, let me just tell you, who cannot love that man? Honorary mention, Peyton's ball gowns. They made the book. Like, honestly, for me, like, that was probably in my top 10 favorite moments. Just anytime she showed up in a ball gown, they're perfect. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go read that book right now. I also loved how easy this was to get into and read. It was so fast-paced. Started right off in the action. It's perfect. Again, if you're looking to get into reading, this is something I really recommend. It'll keep you hanging on every second. If you love banter, that is a trope you like, read this book. That is my number one recommendation. So if you're someone who likes
It's all
banter,
banter.
Powerless.
All banter.
Read Powerless.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
That's all it is, guys. It's banter plus banter. Banter for days. The book is sizzling. It's not spicy, but when I tell you the steam, it is there. The tension, it is building. Like, I love this book so much.
It does have a lot of tension.
This book is...
Listen, I'm not a romance reader, but let me tell you, this book is mwah, chef's kiss.
It is perfect, and I consider myself deeply offended that it did not make either of your guys' top fives. It is so sad, honestly.
Well, it was that or the book that got me into reading, and I think it's the book that got me into reading, because if I didn't get into reading...
Another kind of reader that this book would be great for is if you are a romance reader and you're looking to get into fantasy, there's not any heavy world building, but the magic system and story are still there. And like we said earlier, like the tension, the sizzle, it is perfect to really keep you engaged and try something that maybe you haven't read before. Also, author PSA, I love Lauren Roberts so much, and guys, this is like my biggest flex ever right now. She has liked 2 of my Instagram stories, which I know some of you are sitting there going, Landry, it's not that big. It is that big of a deal. It is 100% that big of a deal. This is another thing that I will bring up in every conversation, and another thing that I will not apologize for, because truly, I want to be her best friend. I love her. This is perfect, and she wrote this book, and I love her book even more, and I genuinely just don't know how to handle myself or cope with the amount of love that I have towards this book. If you haven't read Powerless, what are you doing with your life? Go read it right now, please. Thank you.
Can we just talk about the cliffhanger real fast? Like, I need a book 2. I need a book 2 yesterday, okay? Like, that cliffhanger at the end.
Yes, so for those of you that didn't know, Powerless unfortunately ends on a cliffhanger, and book 2 is coming out in July, and we are filming this in late March, so we still have quite a ways to go. July is my birthday month, and do not even think for a second that those books have not already been pre-ordered for all 3 of us. We will be reading that as soon as it comes out. The cliffhanger, the just emptiness that I'm feeling after how that book ended, I can't believe we don't have the second one in our hands. And knowing that there will be a third one, and the second one will probably also end on a cliffhanger, oh, killing me.
Oh my gosh, it's horrifying. I'm so scared.
I can't do it. If I cannot buy all the books and read them all at once, and there's cliffhangers, I'm crying.
You are the one making us read all these unfinished series. I'm just gonna say that. Leave that out there. Oh, Avery.
Listen, the book called to me. What was I supposed to do?
Go read Iron Flame. Go read Fourth Wing. It's so good. But there's only 2 books.
It was good, and the pain is worth it. It's just that good. Because if you had waited another minute, I would have died. Like, if I waited and I didn't read this when I did. And the fact that I put it off for so long, too, kicking myself constantly every day, that I lost time being a Lauren Roberts #1 stan.
Okay, hey, Avery, why don't you have Six of Crows on your list? Because they did. Why don't you? I do. It's actually my #1. And in addition to Six of Crows, I'd also like to add the King of Scars duology, because everything that Leigh Bardugo does is just a chef's kiss. The character development, the world building, the plot, it's just all, it's incredible. And let me tell you, Nikolai Lantsov he's my favorite, okay? Like, I love the Crows. I think I love him even more. And, like, these characters, I haven't read this book in a while. Well, I just did reread King of Scars recently, but I haven't read Six of Crows in a while, and I'm still attached to these characters. I still have them come up on my Pinterest feed and stuff, and again, Leigh Bardugo is such an amazing author, and I'm so glad I have these books in my life, because now I get to experience all her amazing writing.
Again, love Leigh Bardugo so much, but those long chapters kill me.
Fair enough.
20 pages, guys. That's so long. Short chapters really, truly do help you read the book so much faster.
Okay, Prison Healer. I got the idea to get this book from Avery. We were going book shopping one day all together, and I saw her pick it up, so I looked more into it later that day and was like, this, I think, is something I might like. So I told her, if you like this book, let me know. I will get it. because I would like to read it too. She liked it, so I got it, and she had books 1, 2, and 3. I decided I was just getting book 1, so the one time I decided to not get the whole series, let's just say automatically regret that. Definitely get the whole series for this trilogy if you are going to get Prison Healer and read it. The cliffhangers are so good. The plot twists, so good. They're there, and you can definitely tell. And they're just so good. The author wrote them so well. There's no flaws that I personally found when I was reading this book. I couldn't disagree with anything that happened. Absolutely loved it. It was all chef's kiss. Amazing. The characters have my literal heart. I fell in love with them, and I really enjoyed reading about them and getting to know the characters as the story went on. I just absolutely loved it, and I always wanted to know what was going to happen next with those characters. There wasn't a single character that I necessarily hated, which was really nice when I was reading the book, because I was able to just read it and not be like, I hate this character, or when is it going to be this character? There aren't different point of views. It's just that girl's one point of view, her different interactions with each person. It wasn't waiting for her to interact with someone else. It was this person, which was really good compared to some books where it's just when's it going to be this person? Because I just get so bored sometimes, or I just really don't like the character. But this author really knew what she was doing. The plot, characters, plot twists, the cliffhangers, everything was so great. And let's just say I think about this book every day. I fell in love with this book, and I would definitely recommend this book. If you are into fantasy and things with magic and all that stuff, I definitely recommend.
I've yet to read Prison Healer. I have a very short attention span, especially when it comes to books, and they say that it starts kind of slow. But it, again, definitely on my TBR, guys. I will get there, I promise. And I mean, I might love it. Maybe we'll have to do a top 5 in a couple months and see what has changed. One more thing that I realized we forgot to mention previously during our Powerless conversation is the release of Powerful in April, which will be a novella from Adina's point of view. I already have it pre-ordered, of course. I don't know what to expect. As we were kind of talking about earlier, I'm not one for big spin-offs or from other characters' point of view, but like I said, Lauren Roberts, I love her so much. I will read anything she writes, and I don't know, I'm excited. I've got high hopes, and I can't wait to learn a little bit more about Adina's life. Of course, if you've read Powerless before, then you may know why I am hesitant to jump into this novella, but it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. For sure. And that's all I'm going to say on that matter, to not give anything
Okay,
away.
before we close up, I would just like to say, I think I have the best book recommendations. Because, come on, look, I have made at least 5 books on both of your top 5s.
Well, obviously, because both of you recommended the books that I read. I read books that you guys recommend.
Shatter Me was all me.
For the most
That's
part,
all me,
yeah.
Landry, come on. It was all me.
No, it wasn't. I literally said I wasn't going to read it until I got on Instagram and saw it. You do not get to take credit for that.
Six of Crows, that was me. Inheritance Games.
Six of Crows was you. I will say I'll give you Six of Crows.
Inheritance
That's the only one you're
Games?
getting. Shatter Me you don't get, because Shatter Me wasn't you.
Oh, you did not recommend me Inheritance? Because that was before
No, Inheritance Games wasn't recommended by you either. Inheritance Games I actually got from someone else.
Inheritance Games I got from someone else, Avery?
Yeah. Neither of us knew you at the time that we read Inheritance Games.
So I actually got that from everybody else who was recommending it, and then just some of my other reader friends.
Okay, but Prison Healer's on the list.
Not my list.
It will be.
Well, you had it, and so I was what is Prison Healer about? And so I was I saw it, and I was I think I have to read it, because I think I had seen it before you had gotten it, but you put it you kind of put it back on my radar. I was kind of oh, maybe, and then I saw it you got it, and I was okay, actually, I think I need to go back and actually get this book.
I think I have the best book recommendations because I have the most wide variety of taste, because I've gotten you to read books and I've gotten Maddie to read books. I'll read romance, I'll read fantasy, I'll read mystery, I'll read thriller. I recommended None Shall Sleep. I made you guys read Fourth Wing. I made you guys read Powerless. Okay, I was the one who made sure Maddie got Shatter Me for Christmas. That was me.
I do have to say, I am one of those readers, like, if you tell me to read it, if you think I'd like it, I'll probably read it. Because honestly, like, I read everything, to be honest.
My book recs are still good. Just because Avery doesn't take them doesn't mean they're not good.
You can't recommend me contemporary romance. You know I won't read it.
I know. Okay, I recommended you Divine Rivals. That was me.
Maybe.
And you liked that book. And this is going to conclude our first official Bookish and Bored podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Bookish and Bored Podcast. Also, it would help so much if you could leave a 5-star review on whatever listening platform you are on. Once again, we appreciate you, and we can't wait to release more episodes in the future. I'm Landry.
I'm Avery.
And I'm Maddie.
And we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.
See ya.